Hi, my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. I'm joined today by a brand new friend. We're just getting to know each other, Vanessa Leigh. And you all might remember Vanessa from a piece that she had come in for her while she was listening to me read one of Jason's pieces. And I loved your piece, actually. I knew the minute that's the way it works with me, which I don't know if you were aware. I only record what am nudged to record, and I do it if I'm nudged. I also get the nudge to record it right away, or sometimes this really started developing itself with Jason's work because he was so prolific.
Yeah,
I was noticing that I would get the nudge that I was to record it, but not yet. And because I don't read the piece before I record it, because I'm recording it and reading it to myself all at the same time.
yeah.
um, what I began to notice with his work was that that was specific, that was very specific in my own inner guidance. And I figured out that it had to have something to do with my own level of consciousness. Like I wasn't ready for something within that piece, or some other information must have needed to come in for me to for it to be of maximum benefit for me.
Mm,
And that's the only explanation at this point that I have. And with your piece, I was nudged that I was to record it, but I also was nudged for some reason. Again, even though I thought I understood you to say that it was okay if I wanted to share it, for some reason, I felt to clarify that with you. And now I feel as though that was to keep me, because I really wanted to read it. It was part of an email, and I really wanted to read it. So I
mm.
think that was to keep me from reading it until I heard back from you, or for at least a few days, because I finally got the nudge to go ahead, even though I hadn't heard from you.
Yeah. And it was no coincidence that I didn't get to watch it until, I'm in San Francisco for an 8 hour layover. And I've been trying to watch it beforehand. And I was like, oh, okay, I got time now. And it just hit me. I mean, that's where I had moved and got married and discovered so much about the world and life and pain and grief. And yeah, as soon as I started listening to it, I started sobbing. And I felt that, that collective pain that we had all carried unconsciously and consciously, and the dissolving of it. It was huge.
Well, it really was a great piece. And for those that are not certain, the piece I'm speaking about is convergence theory, conscious embodiment through perception and interconnection. And I'll put a link in the body of this video to that video in case you did not see it and want to. And so, you are currently in Australia, not currently, right now you are in the United States, but you're based in Australia, correct?
Yeah,
But you are in the US visiting right now.
yeah.
And I'm so grateful that you agreed. You're on holiday, I guess, and I'm really very grateful that you were able to meet with me during your holiday. I hope that wasn't too much trouble for you. I understand that you had to drive a little bit to get to some Wi-Fi.
Yeah, nah, that's good. I was out in the northern Idaho riding horses yesterday
Oh,
and
how
shooting
lovely.
guns. I just
How
shot my first
lovely.
AR and my 22, and I got it down. I'm hitting targets already.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Yeah,
So
because
my
you guys in Australia aren't allowed to have guns or something, right?
no, oh, you got to have a license if you've got a farm or something. But yeah, so one of my visions or a goal or dream that I've had for the last 5 years or 10 years actually, but it's really come into fruition is to have a ranch therapy retreat.
How
And
lovely.
I want to have property here in PNW, which is why I've been coming here for the last 3 years, and then one in Melbourne or somewhere in northern New South Wales in Australia. And I want to start it as like a conscious community where we can co-heal in connection.
That's very interesting to me. How many of us, I'm going to say us, that are what I will also term awakening to some degree, um, that seems to have been a vision that a lot of us received.
Yeah.
I have to date only had one, what I'll call a full-blown vision, and it was that. It
Mm.
was it was an entire property that had tiny houses on it. It had a main house
Yes.
with like a commercial kitchen in it. I mean, it was an entire setup that,
That's exactly what I've drawn. I've made proposals for. I've put out proposals to people. Um, and that's something that I want to start. I've got a philanthropist friend in Australia, and she's offered to look at funding that. Um, and I swing back and forth between yes, this is needed, and I could help create it, but it's not something I think I really want to run and be responsible for. My end goal is to have just my own little property, couple of horses, live off the land, do my therapy and co-creation through that and simplify it
right.
because everything keeps coming down for everyone about balance and alignment. And we know now that when, you know, we're giving at the cost of ourselves, we're draining the whole collective.
No, I couldn't agree more. And that the original, it's been now 9 years ago that I actually had that vision, that full-blown vision.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be 65 this year, and I don't know that I would even be interested in running something like that myself, right? I have this feeling that it's it's meant to be a collective that actually desires to live in that particular way, and it's shared responsibility.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because, well, from my perspective, um, and I guess this is why I was so drawn to Jason's work with the RZN Codex, and what is really contained within those writings feels like um, it's very compatible with the way I have always felt like it's moving towards. Most, like, we are the only species on this planet that actually has to pay to live and
Yeah.
exist on the planet of our birth.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes. And I
And
have,
everybody's got this scream from within. We're not meant to live like this.
right.
I'm not meant to live like this. Whether they're consciously aware of it or not, it's eating them alive to be under oppression of mortgages. It's modern slavery.
No, it absolutely
And,
is. Yes,
yeah.
you're right.
And it's like, I divorced 3 years ago, and that was the impetus to just get out of all suppression. And I knew that I needed to do that for the growth of myself, my ex husband, and my children. And then the message I got was like, I had this Aboriginal elder guide come to me on a higher plane. And I was like, I can't do this. My parents divorced when I was young. I can't do it to my kids, all that conditioning. And he said to me, this is greater than you and your little family. I'm sorry. This is this is collective, and this is going to create a ripple effect for all your clients, everyone around you, the whole collective. And it's for the greater good of everyone. You have to do it. You have to be brave.
Well, what
And as
I
soon as
came
I
to
did,
I'm sorry, please go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, no. Um, and then I felt my mum come to me energetically. And she said, I want to show you a timeline of when you were younger. You know, when you got on the netball team and you came all excited. And I was like, oh, that's great. Oh, I used to be on the netball team. I was on but then I had your brother. And then you got into naturopathy school and you're all excited and you came to me and you're like, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then she went to the drawer and she pulled out the paperwork for the same naturopathy school like 20 years earlier. And she's like, oh, I couldn't do it because I had you kids. And she was showing me the whole timeline of like, it wasn't that I wasn't happy for you. It wasn't that I didn't care. You felt my unlived life. And if you stay, your children are going to continue to feel that. And you're going to live through them instead of yourself. You've got to show them how to live. And
No,
so I did that.
that is exactly what I was actually going to say to you because I I I don't know how or why I knew it because I actually didn't know I was doing it because of that. But I came to see that later. And I have actually shared with other friends, women who have been in a situation saying the same thing that you said, right? That you were saying to yourself. I said, so what you're going to then teach your children is that to stay in a situation where you are unhappy for them. And please understand what that will do to them. Because
Yeah.
I do recall my mother actually saying that she didn't want to marry my dad, that she didn't want to, she did, she got pregnant with me, and she did not want to marry my father. She wanted to go off and have me on her own and not be married. But it was 1961, and that just wasn't done back then. And so she really felt like she had, you know, a horrible life and didn't mind, sharing it with us that she was not happy in her life.
Yeah.
And we were the entire reason why.
Yeah.
Well, and what
That's a
that does
huge
to a kid.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I was that I felt that from my parents' divorce. My dad didn't want to be divorced or separate from us. So my whole life I felt his heartache of being in the middle and then having another family and us coming on the weekends, and he just would bury his head in the sand because he was just too sensitive. And I was like, yeah, no. And I heard, yes, that may have been your greatest heartache of feeling that in life, but you get to heal it now by doing it differently, because my parents didn't talk for years. And I was like, all right, I'm going to have the best divorce ever. And we have. Um, and I worked hard at it, and maybe too sacrificial at times, but I learned. Um, and I remember doing a therapy session on my daughter and speaking to her higher self. And I was working on her, and I heard her say, because she was born with a one kidney, we found out halfway through the pregnancy. Then she almost died with the cord around her neck. Then she had a hole in her heart. And so she was saying to me, I was deciding whether to stay all these times because I knew you and dad weren't going to stay together. And I was like, oh. And then she goes, no, 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 no. Keep listening. I knew that if you weren't going to leave and find your voice and live your life, I did not want to stay with a mother like that wasn't empowered.
Wow, that's wonderful. And see, I really feel like children that are coming in now, as specifically now, are even more they will have that more upfront. In other words, you wouldn't have had to, like, if they were coming in now, they will know that. They will just speak it out. I really feel like if it's not right now, it's soon to be.
Yeah,
Because with each generation or, age of child coming in, less and less is the programming and conditioning. It can still be done. It absolutely could still happen depending on how brutal the parent wanted to be to implant said uh you know programming and conditioning. However, I don't feel as though it will stick as
yeah,
well as it used to.
yeah. That's what I'm seeing. And when I'm doing a lot of the energy work, so since I separated, um, you know, I just went off spiritually. I went on that road trip across America. And I met somebody who just completely activated my higher consciousness. It was like a soul connection. And I started hearing a lot more telepathy, um, everyone's higher self. My sessions went crazy. I started seeing, I could touch somebody's body and I would just see every traumatic memory in every spot that it was held in the body. And so I started doing a lot of body work, seeing that, feeling that. It was like I was taking on the whole thing and helping them release it. And that was getting a lot. And then I started like channeling before each client. And I'd say, what are we doing on a higher consciousness level? And it'd be like, oh, light code activation, DNA strand, but I didn't understand it. I was just channeling. And then I'd come down to the here and now and go, okay, what does this person need to work on? At the time, I didn't realize that we were co-healing, and every wound was a mirror wound. I thought I was just, helping them. And then it started to be only seeing love. I heard, okay, you've seen all the trauma. You can't have pain without love. So now we're going to show you the love. Then it was like ghost. People's loved ones, their parents would come through and go, you've got to show them how much I love them. But I only had this much love for myself. So how could I possibly give them any more than what I had? But I love them to my full capacity. They have to know this. I'm like, okay. And so that was shifting a lot. And then it started being a lot more scientific. And I'd come back from one trip from Sedona, and that just activated. I connected with Drumvello, and I came back and I started seeing all the somatic flow in the body, and I kept hearing like, look up somatics, look up the toroidal field in the heart, and I'm just like, I'm going nuts here. Like, I'm either having a menopausal spiritual awakening, midlife crisis. Motion was just coming through me. I remember one day I just went into my clinic room and I just got told to lay on my own table, and I just started crying. And it was like I'd been very stoic my whole life, and um, tough. No one's going to see me cry, but I could hold space for anyone else. And so it was like this. I finally had to release, but everyone I'd ever touched, I laid in that room for 3 hours straight, and I could feel every client crying differently through me, everyone who didn't get to express. And then after that, I was like, okay, what am I doing? I can't be, I've got to give this up. And I heard, okay, you got to go to Peru, and you're going to heal your heart there, and you're going to let go of everything you've ever carried that was never yours to carry. And I was like, all right. So I did that. And then I came back and I started seeing this like stripping of, when I'd work on somebody's body, the bone structure was changing and evolving to crystalline structure. I was being shown. So what any child born from now on would have more of a crystalline bone structure, which would not be able to hold trauma. So it gets alchemized quicker. And all the people I'd been working on, I started seeing this bone fragment just shattering, because that's where the trauma was, deep in the bone. And the bone structure would shatter and crystalline would form more now. So this was being spread out collectively. And I got shown that, okay, the reason I'd been all over the world was I'd connected to these energy centers,
Node
grids,
points.
sites, ley lines, and that
Mhm.
each of us, I'm an energy center, you're an energy center, we're not separate. Um, at the time, it was needed for people to go around and activate these energy centers. I'd been to the pyramids in Egypt. My son got me there. He was 1 year old, and we were in there together. Um, and the Camino Trail in Spain, the pyramids in Mexico, Sri Lanka. And so all these sites were like this ball of authenticity, because everybody who goes there speaks their truth. They meet strangers. They don't hold back. So the energy is high frequency there. And then in between, there's fear and division and hate and pain and shame. But because it takes one energy center to affect thousands of others and help. So that was all laid in place now. And now the call was, you can only affect your own energy center the most. And now, if you're spreading that out, it's being siphoned. So you've got to create your own Kundalini life force energy from within, become sovereign, and that just radiates and emanates without doing anything. The more you say, the more you explain, the more you try, dissipates the energy.
Okay,
So
that's very interesting to me because that definitely is the exact same message, just in her own guidance words that my housemate has received as well. Just a little over a year and a half ago, she was um, really pretty close to death. And um, during a heart draining event, she had, I guess, pericarditis, and they had to drain fluid off of her heart. Her guidance was that it was time now to dismantle a false lattice that she erected in her childhood, um, because she had to do that in order to emanate unconditional love to all those around her, because that was part of her mission. And she knew that as a child. But because of the way things were in her life, the only way she could continue that, apparently, was to erect this false lattice that would protect her heart. And now it was time to dismantle that and to produce her own energy only, and have that that would eventually become over unity, and sustain her, right? So I the way that she put that, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, those are my words,
yeah,
but sounds very similar to what you just said. And so for me, I'm a bit of a puzzle piece collector, and I can't help but put those things together and say I'm hearing the same message from both of you in
yeah,
different ways. And it also validates for me Jason's writings in regards to um, being sovereign, and the fact that there are those born, I think 1960 or 61 to 80 something, that
yeah,
were seeded from the future backward, to be what he calls the return carriers. And so I feel as though, and this has happened to me before, I've heard, read, listened to different things that kind of sound like they're the different messages, but they're not. They're
yeah,
actually the same message, just different perspectives. And to me, they are all the same message. And so that's really, like I said, that's very interesting that you got that message too. And this was about how long ago you said that you received that for yourself? About becoming
probably,
sovereign?
that probably about 8 months now that's been coming in. And then I've been working with all my clients, and that's shifted everything now. It's just like, and then it was that whole mirror work. And then the mirror just got shattered, and it was like that you don't need any more mirrors anymore to heal. You are perfectly imperfect, exactly as you are, wherever you are, sovereign. And unless you want to be healing forever, go for it. You want to keep re-looping, that's up to you. But
Right, right,
now it's just about co-creating, being in present with one another, being authentic. Um, yeah, being in the moment. There's no letting go of control of next week. Well, and that's why I'm here. I'm on this trip, and people are just like, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" Like I didn't even tell my family. And then it was my brother's birthday, and I called, and they were like, "Oh, you're in America? What?" And my dad's like, "What? You?" I'm like, "Yep, this is how I roll now."
Wow. I wish we could have had you coming over to this coast. It would have been lovely to have met you in person.
Yeah,
Maybe next
I
time.
reckon I'm there. Yeah,
Yeah. So now you are a naturopath. That's what you said, right? And so
Yeah,
you do have a practice there in Australia. Yeah.
yeah. But I work remotely as well because I do a lot of energy work. So yeah, I pretty much, I get somebody's name and they'll book in, and I know it's a soul tribe connection. Most people, I go, how did you find me? Oh, I just Googled or so and so, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So I just get somebody's name. I pretty much get them into their own divine masculine and feminine union. And I see energetically like the masculine presence enter the feminine, and she envelopes every fiber of his energetic being. And he's like the yin and the yang and the dark and light, and the whole energy, physical and energy body I see. And then I get myself into the same. And then I see the Kundalini energy or the life force energy start pulsating in the sacral, and then going up into all the chakras, the DNA spiraling around, and then we're in connection with collective consciousness. And then I'm channeling our higher selves.
Oh,
And what
wow.
are we doing together? And then I'll bring it back to the physical. What are you struggling with now? What do you want to work on? What's happening in the body? I'll feel into foods that will benefit or not, um, herbs, plants, whatever, supplements if they need. I'm not a big proponent of synthetic supplements, but sometimes we need a boost. I'll work with anyone on medication, whatever they need to be on. And then when I work on the body, I'm not looking anymore into anything. I'm just channeling love. And if something comes up as a mirror, I'll see visions. I'll tell them afterwards. But basically, I'm seeing that they're getting into their own authentic frequency or a higher resonance as they can of love, joy, authenticity. They're feeling that and remembering it, and they're doing their own work on their own body. And every time I read out what they're struggling with, people who uh, haven't experienced anything like it are just like, excuse my French, what the fuck? Like, how did you know that? Are you a mind reader? And I'm like, no, I'm basically feeding back to you what you're not hearing from your own self. So you can hear it, hold on to it, remember it, and start living life authentically, empowered, because you're dying inside, abandoning yourself every day and suffering in silence. And it's not for the faint hearted,
No,
because
I know.
the
I'm aware. And what's really interesting to me at this moment is I'm almost afraid. Isn't that interesting?
yeah, I can feel that.
I don't know what that's about because I keep asking myself, and apparently I'm not listening.
Oh, that's a big fear.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what I fear. Why is this happening to me? I don't understand why I'm doing this to myself. I mean, I'm clear that I must be doing this to myself.
What I'm
And
hearing is, can I truly be loved? Can I truly be seen?
I guess that's
What if I'm seen and then not seen? Because this is safe. This is safe where I am.
I guess that could absolutely be. which seems ridiculous because I'm on YouTube and I'm seen
I know,
at
I know.
least by 490 people I've been seen.
Yeah. But truly seen in real intimacy. Oh, yeah. Because when I've seen people's most traumatic events, and I've touched them and gone back to like a moment when they were drowning, or some significant ones where like somebody who got their spleen was taken, they were in hospital, and that moment of like their parents came and people came that loved them, but the fear that came in around dying wasn't the fear of dying. It was the fear of not having truly loved and lived before dying. And I think everyone's, and my greatest fear is being seen in true intimacy.
Well, then that would, I guess, make sense why we were attracted to each other then, wouldn't it?
Because who, well, we're getting deep now, but who was your greatest love?
I don't even know how. Oh,
Because I'm feeling someone.
yep. Well, my son. Yep. Still and yet, it's still that. And I'm not even sure why that it is the way it is between us. It's real easy to pretend that I don't care when I absolutely do. And yet, I certainly don't want to push myself on anyone. That's not the way to go about. And jumping up and down in front of somebody saying, I love you, why don't you love me back? Seems ridiculous.
But what do you mean by pushing yourself on anyone?
It's very clear that there is no contact desired. And so I am honoring that. And that's what I mean by pushing myself onto someone, by continuing to try to have contact. And I guess
And
that's what I meant by saying it's real easy to just say, oh, well, that's the way he wants it. So, okay. A long time ago, I decided that I didn't want any hostages on my journey. And that's really a true statement. I don't want any hostages. So if somebody doesn't want, uh, I don't know, to be around me, I'm certainly
yeah,
not going to push. Um, and that's what I mean.
but is it a true, that he doesn't want to, or that he's, you know, um,
Well, clearly there are trauma issues there. I programmed him. I installed programming and conditioning in him, just like every parent who didn't really understand what they were
Yeah.
doing. He and I, his biological father and I separated when he was a year old. And so it was he and I against the world kind of thing until he was almost 8 years old. And at 8 years old, the man that I had a marriage to for 28 and a half years, which he adored, came into our life. But very clearly, when I separated and divorced 9 years ago, um, as I was going through pictures, I realized, and my inner guidance showed me actually, I believe I was led to those pictures on purpose. I was putting together a photo album that, went from the different school years. And I was shown how very clearly when he came into our lives is when my son began to gain a lot of weight. Very similarly to myself, when my parents split up, the same thing happened with me. And so I just knew at that point that as much as he loved that man, and don't get me wrong, he did adore him, he was very angry with me because he was now no longer the focus, the sole focus. And I don't think he knew what to do with those feelings. Who would
Yeah.
at that age? And I really can't even get close enough to try to broach those subjects. Um, it's a pretty sore subject because when he married the first time, he married a woman 3 years older than me. And one of his friends' mother said that he told him and a whole room full of people that he had mommy issues. And he got pretty angry about it. Well, clearly he had mommy issues. And I'd like to be able to assist in the, healing of that, but I'm not even sure how I can broach it if I can't even get in the same room, much less, you know, bring it
Yeah,
up.
you just start, you can only start with you.
Right.
And it's not anyone's fault, obviously. We
No,
all come
exactly.
in with that. And not there's mommy issues and daddy issues. We've all
Yes.
got them.
Yes.
He had daddy issues first.
Yo, that's true. Yes, yes, you're right about that. And
So,
he knows about those though, and he's okay with that apparently because he just wants to be mad at him and because he never got to know him
well,
at
and
all.
he wants to be mad at you. He wants to be mad at you now too. He that's
Yeah.
the cutoff. It's not that he doesn't want contact or he doesn't want to be loved. He's
No,
just
that's
got
true.
the yeah.
Well, the one thing
And it's only
I really do feel like that he does love me. That's not ever, I've never not feel like he doesn't love me because I do feel like he does. Um, it's just there's no relationship there. And I think to some degree there's some kind of trauma I have with him in that because sometimes I feel like a fight or flight situation. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel as though that stems back to a past life with him of some sort. Always, 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 even before I knew what I was saying, from the time he was little, I said to my great grandmother, I think he must have been my father in a past life because he acts like my dad, a dad figure when he was little. I mean, just little.
Yeah.
And so I'm not certain that that's the case, but I kind of feel like there might be something there. And I don't know, it's just very interesting. And just talking with you out loud about it has helped me in some sort of way. So thank you for.
Yeah, because it's that you guys had that dynamic, and of just you two against the world.
Yeah.
And he took on the protector role, the father role, and you had your daddy issues as well.
Yes, I did. Yep. That's true.
Yeah. And so
This
that,
is really showing me how important it is to resolve those kinds of issues prior to having children so that they don't.
uh,
You don't think so?
I don't know, because that's why we came together, right? And that's where it could go either way. And it's not about, it's like with any relationship now, everybody's too scared to be truthful and intimate and creating a conscious relationship. They're coming in with masks on or sitting on their own going, "Oh, I have to do this first before I can be loved. I have to heal this. I got to work on my fucking shadow. I got to have a better job. I got to look better. Then I'll be lovable." This
I
is the thing
see.
I'm doing. Love should not be fucking earned.
No, that's true. No, you're right about that.
We heal. We didn't come here to heal alone, and we didn't come here to perpetually heal. We came to be real and exist. And this whole movement of, like your generation, it was all about suppression, sweep it under the rug, get
Yeah,
over it, move on. But you felt, and every child from your era felt the unsaid words and the energy, and could walk into a room and know that someone was just fighting, even if they said, "No, everything's fine." Bullshit.
right.
Then we had the movement of the psychological movement, and we'll all go to counseling, and we'll go fucking bash it in over and over. We'll re-traumatize you. Tell me your story. Tell me what your mum did. Tell me
Yeah,
your dad did. And then we'll relive it, and our whole body will go into the trauma again and again and again. And then we'll learn this bullshit language and go constantly in our minds of, well, you triggered me. And, oh, well, when you have to say it like this, so you're not blaming anyone, so they don't feel attacked. And you just go doing your own heads in, and you're not having a real relationship.
no, that's true.
Now we're wiping all that, and none of us have been taught or have the language other than truth in the moment, raw, real, authentic. I don't know. I want to have this conversation with you because I love you. And in this moment, I don't have all the right words or anything, but I'm calling you to tell you I love you. And I don't know where it goes. And I'm fucking scared. Or I feel so much that I don't even know how to express it, but I want to have a relationship, and I don't know how we're going to go forward, but I want to. Or, it's just got to be more real. And are we going to choose each other every day? Because it's not a given.
No, that's
And
right.
that's, people are getting into relationships, and it's the mask. And it starts with, I'll be the best girlfriend, and I'll be cool, and I won't, or whatever. And then the little micro tears happen, and the resentments build up, and then it's just not real.
No, that's
And
so true.
all of our, and that's where relationships end up failing. Now every relationship, whether it's intimate or not, is just about being raw and real and honest and growth. And every day I'm choosing this. I'm choosing myself, and then I'm choosing you.
No, that's so true.
And if
My guidance had me sign up for online dating 3 different times. 3 different times. And I want you to know that it was the best thing that I was ever pushed to do because,
really,
yes, because I came to exactly that conclusion, what you just said there. And I had it
oh,
for
see, I didn't even
that,
have to go online.
right? I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
said, it was as though I had to see for myself because
how bad it was.
I still didn't even know myself. What in the world was I thinking about trying to get to know somebody else? I realized in those moments that I had never shown up as myself. How could I when I didn't even know who I was? And so, yeah, no, that was the best thing I ever did was following that guidance and each time I knew I was trying to show myself something. I just didn't know exactly what. And so yeah, no, that's very true. I am very well aware, but I actually did not translate it over to my child, and I don't even know why. But that's true. It's very true. Everything you just said there holds for that relationship as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
see, I started the other way around because um, I was always like a nurturer, and I had a little brother and sister that I helped raise and nannied, and then when I met my husband, his mum did this co-counseling, and she ran preschools, and she was one of the first preschools to introduce in California hand in hand parenting. And it was where the main tenements were if a child had a big emotion, some might call it a tantrum. I never did. Um, there would always be a staff member available to hold space and just sit. And so I got trained in this, and we had special time. So every day the child had 15 minutes undivided attention, no distractions. The timer was on. They could direct the play. So they had some empowerment because every day kids are get in the car, they might be drawing a masterpiece, and we're like, no, we got to go now. Come on. Like, no. Imagine if I just walked in and you're in the middle of something and you're just like, you'd be like, piss off. No. But
right.
kids don't get that option.
No, they
So every
don't.
day we give them that, and then we do play-based therapy, uh, play listening, where it's like, let's create a game. If they're feeling disempowered, we'll create a game that gives them some empowerment. And so I learned all this before I had children, and I practiced it in my nannying, and I taught parents. So when I had my children, it was, they were never shut up from crying. It was always, I'm right here. I still could hold a boundary, but have the witnessing of the emotion that came up with that boundary.
Right.
And it was really hard to parent like that, with everyone going, oh, you're too soft. You lay with them, you give them. I just pushed it aside. Like, if my kids had a tantrum in the supermarket, put my blinders on and I sit on the floor with them. And I'm like, I'm right here. I'm right here. 15 minutes later, the emotions released. They're happy as ever. Now my children are 18 and 16, and they now hold space for me. When I went through this divorce, and I was a spiritual awakening, and I was like going off into, and then I finally came crashing to earth going, oh my God, I was totally spiritually bypassing. Sorry, kids, but you saw a lot of love through that. But now I have any emotion. I don't hold back anything. Crying is ecstasy. There's a fine line between pleasure and pain. And I just love it now. And they don't even blink an eye. They're like, Mom, I said, I hope you know I'm okay. You know I'm okay. Like I've never been better. And they're like, it's obvious, Mom. You are on fire. You just like you transmute, you have an emotion, you go, and my son's like, that's exactly what you did for us. You taught us all of this. So of course we can hold space. We love it.
That's so wonderful that you were able to do that.
And
I'm
then
in
they were
awe of
teaching
that.
me.
Yes, and the fact that they can do it now for you. I'm in awe of that because my housemate raised her daughter quite the same way that you're speaking on. And um, you know, I'm in awe of parents that were able to do that. And yeah, no, I was totally asleep and I raised, well, with the exception of I never spoke to him in any way other than, mm, I never treated him like a second class citizen on any sort of level. I always informed him of what we were doing and why. Like you, I had a lot of, uh, you know, comments from peanut galleries that,
Yeah,
oh, you're doing that wrong kind of thing. Yeah, but wow.
because I mean, you see now, like everybody's born perfect, individual, perfectly imperfect, their own unique self. And I see that when I see little children that come to me for sessions as well, and their higher selves are like so evolved. And they're like, I had one girl come to me at 7, and she was like, can you just help me not get imprinted with all this fear around me? She's like, these adults are just drowning in fear. She's like, I'll just be running along in the playground, and I'm like excited to go jump on the monkey bars or something, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just about to jump. And then I hear this, be careful. That's one tiny example of the daily onslaught on children on their nervous system when they're just in, you know, and that
Right.
happens to every day. Stop crying, what. And then as adults, like that people have to pay me to come and find a safe space. Like I just had a grown man, 64 years old, come for a session and go, I have never cried in front of anyone, and I knew you were going to make me cry, and I wasn't going to come. And I'm like, it's an absolute honor for me. And I can't believe that you're not giving anyone else this honor. You're robbing your family.
Well, I'll tell you, if okay, so he's 64, I'm going to be 65, and I can tell you from my own perspective, I I was always told that I was too emotional. I now know that what that actually meant was that my emotions made them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I get that. Um, and I had a really hard time when I was, in the corporate world, trying to suppress that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And so I understand why he feels that way because
Oh, yeah.
society
Oh,
doesn't
so why?
just,
Because
yeah.
I used to be that way. I was the same as you, too emotional, and I can't now. for lack of a better word, and with all the love in my heart, I just don't give a fuck.
No, same.
and
Same.
and and I see now that it creates a shift, whether it's whether I'm aware of it or I get confirmation. I know, and I cry everywhere I go now. Random like I just met a guy in the bar the other night, and I asked him if I could play pool, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, love to." He was Native American, and I went, "Oh, there's a reason we met." And he goes, "Oh, I believe that 100%." And I go, "Yeah, your mum, she's coming through me right now. You lost her not long ago, or you didn't lose her. She's all around now." Um, and I said, "What was her name?" And he said, "Alexa." And I go, "No, no, no, her real name." And he's like, "Free Feather." And I just started crying, and I'll cry again because the day before I'd been on land, and it was this beautiful property. And I stepped onto the property and I heard, "You're going to have your land." And I walked along and there was all these duck feathers, one after the other. And my sign to write is, if you find a feather, that's your pen. You start writing, girl, we'll channel. And I picked up all these feathers and I heard, just, you got to keep writing. And I was like, okay. And then the next night I'm with this guy and his mom comes through and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to write through you, girl. You you are strong, and you I know you don't want to necessarily be a channel all the time, and you're done rescuing and all that, and I know that. But when you feel the impetus, when you have a moment to be free and you got your pen, that's when you do it. Don't, you know, you just flow, and I'm going to help you flow." And I wrote a poem the next day from her, but him and I then just shared our stories, and we were just two grown strangers sobbing in a bar.
I love that though.
Yeah,
I see for me that is an intimacy that cannot be duplicated. It cannot be bought.
yeah,
And you're right, it is quite an honor in my book anyway.
yeah.
Wow. Well, I've taken up a lot of your time and I really appreciate you more than I can say. And I would love to chat with you again sometime.
Did
And I
you get
want,
the did you get the poem and the song that I sent you?
no, I don't think I did.
Yeah, I sent it in the email when I was in San Francisco, and I said, "There's a song and a poem transmission that is going to help shift things," and it's in the email.
Oh, well, let me double check on that. I've been having some trouble with my emails. As I said to you, it's so weird that the way things have been working. Some things just plain disappear. I don't know how that's even possible. That wasn't in your first email to me.
No, it was the one when I replied to you from San Francisco, and I then had a vision. I was doing my makeup in the bathroom afterwards, and I had a vision of us together in the mystery schools, and your eyeliner. I was doing my eyeliner, and I remembered yours, and I saw us both getting ready to to sing in and we were singing frequency music.
Okay. I think, let me see if this is, no, wait a minute. I did receive, because I recalled, I want to say I recalled.
Yeah, I'll resend it anyway,
Please do, because I'm not finding it.
and
No,
I'll send you
this
a link.
is you. This I thought I read where you said, "Did you sing before?" And I have that, but there's no attachment there.
Ah,
You
okay.
see, that's what I'm saying. This is so weird for me how some of this works. A lot of times my emails just disappear all the way around. And sometimes I'll receive things, but not the attachment. I will send things, they don't get to the folks. It's just the weirdest thing, and I don't know why. Um, well, the only thing that I can that I just heard again is that there's a part of me that apparently wasn't ready for what you were sending. I don't I
Yeah,
That's the only explanation I can get about that.
that's exactly it. Now we're ready to hear it.
Okay, so if you'll resend those, I would and along with all of your links so that I can include them in the show more section in the event that someone wants to reach out to you. Here's the thing I always say is that if you feel drawn to someone, there's a reason. And I always encourage folks, if you feel drawn to me, reach out to me. If you feel drawn to Vanessa, reach out to Vanessa. And I'll make sure in the body of this video that there will be links so that you can reach out to Vanessa. And I really appreciate your time, and I do hope that we can do more. I don't, again,
Oh yeah,
I kind of feel like we will.
yeah.
And I
once
want to.
you connect with the soul tribe, there's no breaking the connection.
Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming and having this recording with me too. I really
Thank you.
appreciate that.
I
And I want
love
you to
chat.
stay right there. So I'm just going to sign off on this to just to say, move towards that which brings you joy and towards that which draws you. There's absolutely something there for you. And you will know once it shows you. And thanks again.
Thank you.